Are you ready to become awesomer? Hello everyone, my name is Umar. I'm your host on the No Limit Selling podcast, where industry leaders share their tips, strategy, and advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Just before we get started, I've got a question for you. Do you have a negative voice inside your head? We all do, right? I'm going to help you remove that voice in under 30 days guaranteed. Not only remove it, but transform it. So instead of the voice that sabotages you, there's one that propels you to much higher levels of performance and success. There's a link in the show notes. Click on it to find out more. All right, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling podcast. Today we have Nadanne Hartwell, realtor from Toronto, joining us. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Glad to be here.
Excellent. One of the things I really wanted to chat about today is you're not just a realtor, but you have this alter ego as someone that's an artist and paints scenes for movies. So it'd be good to kind of balance both careers and see where they intersect. So how long have you been a realtor?
I have actually had my license since 1989. But I will say that my father, who is also a realtor in St. Catharines, basically, when I left high school, said, you should get your real estate license. It's always good to fall back on. And I followed his advice, and consequently, it was quite easy to get a license then. And so I've maintained it ever since.
So you were going along in real estate, and then you decided you need to supplement or do something more artistic. Tell us about that.
Right. So I had decided that I was going to move to Toronto, and I had sort of a series. I had the job that I was doing selling licensed, land lease retirement homes had ended. Someone had offered me a position in Toronto, and then someone the next day had offered me a place in Toronto. So I decided Toronto was the place to go. That the universe was sending me there. However, that other job did not last very long. So I'm now in Toronto. I have my real estate license, but I don't really know enough people to make a go of real estate. I'm a little worried about it. So someone had offered me a painting job, and I thought, well, how hard can that be? And it turns out that I've spent many years learning the craft and honing it. And so I started for the smaller union NABET, and then proceeded to CBC for a few years, and then to IATSE, where I quite love that. That's doing the foam painting there for
Movies like
Pacific Rim, Suicide Squad, It Too. Mayor of Kingstown was a big TV series we just did with Jeremy Renner. I'm currently doing a reality TV show, so that we're doing Tough as Nails in Canada.
Nice. So there's like human beings and makeup for film. Away from the camera, they kind of look silly sometimes, but in the camera with that kind of makeup, they look perfect. How does that relate to art? When you're actually painting backdrops for movies, do they have to be realistic, or do they have to be slightly altered to look realistic on film?
Almost always they are altered to be on film. For example, if you have a brand new office setting, like they were doing in, say, Suits. So you have the brand new office setting, but you freshly paint the walls. They're freshly plastered. They're not real walls. They're what we call flats, which are basically just sort of 1x3s with a skim of very thin sort of wood veneer on them. But then we would quote unquote age them. We would just tone them down just a little so that because they read still as new, but very little is sort of like shiny new, especially if you're dealing with movies that are of an older date. If we see something super shiny and new, but it's 1940s.
Looks out of place.
Yeah, our brain still sort of registers that it won't be like our brand new shiny car in our driveway today.
Definitely. So, what lessons have you learned in doing artwork that you apply to your real estate?
Mm. Organization, patience, and a general, I usually use sort of a general sort of um, creativity, not sort of winging it. I can't think of the exact word right now, but basically you take everything and then you tailor it to the situation.
Right.
So there might be some unique features to each and every set or each and every client. You're still using essentially your body of knowledge, but you are able to sort of read the situation with your experience to make it successful.
Brilliant. So, you've been in real estate for a while, and you've probably had, have you been part of a team or just an individual agent?
An individual agent, and basically in the last, I'd say, 10 years, I've had a fairly close relationship with one of the banks to work with bankruptcy homes. So sort of a bit of a niche there, but I sell anything pretty much anywhere.
So, who are some of the people that you've come across that have been exceptional leaders in the real estate space, and what made them exceptional?
Mm. I mean, I think that there are a lot. I find that in my general journey in real estate, I truly haven't, made very many sort of close friends of realtors. And I think that's mainly because of the competitive nature of such as real estate, especially in Toronto now. I think we are somewhere around 80,000 agents. So that's quite substantial for even a town,
Oh, wow,
GTA.
yeah.
So no, there have been many people. I mean, I think I have sort of stuck more with the sort of motivational speakers like sort of Tony Robbins, or I have sort of a positive energy sort of life coach, Christy Marie Sheldon. She has helped scope sort of my attitude and perseverance and resilience in business in general.
Nice. And with Tony Robbins, have you done the firewalk?
I haven't done the firewalk, but I was working with James Ray at one point. He was from the book The Secret.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So yeah, so this was before the issue that he had, before he went to jail. But I did do the breaking of the boards and bending of a steel rod.
Wow,
So
very cool.
yeah, so I mean, yes, I've done similar sort of mind over matter process. I actually took an entire hypnosis course with Debbie Papadakis in Toronto, who is quite a renowned hypnotist.
Nice. Are you saying I shouldn't look into your eyes? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it depends what we want to end up having you say.
Definitely. Woof, woof. That's the biggest fear people have of hypnotists. They'll make me woof like a dog or cluck like a chicken, and we don't do that.
No, and actually, really, it's your brain has such a survival mechanism to it that really, even if you were in a sort of a deep state of hypnosis, which is much like either lucid dreaming or just as you sort of fall asleep at night or wake up in the morning, your body, if it heard an alarm, is going to stand up and run out of the room. You're not going to, continue barking like a dog.
Definitely. So what's kind of interesting is just the power of hypnosis.
Yeah.
I teach my clients, had one call me and her daughter was feeling car sick. So I showed her how to hypnotize her daughter and find the nauseous knob. What's it set at? It's set at a 7. Now tweak down to a 2, see how you feel. And of course, instantly the nausea goes away. So it's amazing the power of the mind, what it can do. And it just gives us much easier glimpse through hypnosis than through the conscious mind.
Well, yes, absolutely. Because the unconscious mind, which basically is sort of at the level of sort of a 5-year-old. So, if you hear when you're a child, you have to be bigger to succeed at something, you might find yourself with a weight issue, in your later years,
right,
to quote unquote succeed. And you won't actually realize that was triggered from what would be seemingly a, incidental moment in your childhood.
Well, I was working with a client. She came in for a bunch of stuff, but the one thing she said one day is like, I can't seem to lose weight. Can you help me? And I said, okay, tell me about the last time you were really fretting about losing weight. Where were you at that moment? She told me where she was. I said, okay, when in that moment, what were you feeling? And she goes, well, I was feeling an uncomfortable feeling right here. And there's a tool you can use to link any feeling to the unconscious mind. And as soon as we linked it, it went back to a memory, and it wasn't a childhood memory. Her husband of 20 some odd years was rushed to another city to go into surgery. And the surgeon came in and said, after the surgery, you're going to lose about 40 pounds and then we'll have to build it back up. And she said, not on my watch. And he only lost about 12 pounds. And wow. She got his weight back really quickly. But somewhere in her mind, she linked that if I stop eating, he'll die. And that's the belief that was causing her to keep the weight on. And then when we discovered what it was, we changed the belief around it. And then it allowed her to just continue with her dieting, and the weight came off really easily. So even if you reduce your diet, if the belief is there, if I lose weight, he will die. The mind is a powerful thing. Yeah.
It always wants to sort of follow those sorts. Like it would rather really create an issue in order to be right, in order to be in accordance with whatever set of rules you've absorbed.
Absolutely. And that's a good word for it, absorbed.
Yeah, and trauma is definitely one of those moments that really is such a mark in your mind, in your memory, that you do associate a lot of things with it.
Definitely. So in your work as an artist, doing set designs, have you ever done a design or some painting where you're like, this isn't really that good, and then have other people around you going, oh my God, that's freaking amazing? Like, if you had one of those moments where you thought it wasn't good enough, but other people that know better actually went, that's freaking amazing.
Yeah, I think I might have that issue in general of, not always accepting compliments and being, maybe a little bit hypercritical of most of the stuff I do. Because then, I always look at it and then my mind goes to 10 different places of where I probably could have done it better. So, yeah, fortunately, film is sort of one of those industries where it actually goes fairly quickly. So I just have to say, great, glad you love it. And we move on to the next thing. So I don't have to dwell on anything that
looking at that kind of psychological mechanism, not just in you, just in general.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are more critical of ourselves. And what do you think that is? Not you specifically, but just generally, why do you think we're more hypercritical of ourselves?
Well, I think it's our constant need for acceptance, to be loved. I think that a lot of people grow up with the idea that somewhere unconsciously that they aren't worthy, they could always be doing better. And so I think that just continues on in your life. And as you get older, hopefully you're able to deal with most of those issues. But, as I said, with the, sort of hypnosis, and reflection on your younger years, sometimes you're not aware that you've suddenly got another, oh my God, I'm not worthy of something.
Right. So what makes you happy?
I really quite like problem solving. I also find that I do in most of my work, whether it be real estate or painting. I did have a house painting business also, that sort of counseling people and helping people sort of see past their problems and potentially find solutions.
Nice. And what's one technique or mind hack you'd like to share with people that would allow them to be more productive, happier, sexier, sleep better?
Well, I mean, I definitely believe in sort of a self-hypnosis, in doing your meditations, and basically sort of grounding yourself and trying not to take everything personally, because other people, they might say things because they have issues going on, and it may actually have nothing to do with you, but you've interpreted their tone as something that you need to take on. And I think that is less of that would absolutely help more people.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for being on the show. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Great. Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.